Please join me in welcoming the governor of the great state of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Thank you and good morning. It is great to be back in Camden at L3 Harris's facility. I had the privilege of being here in November, and already the progress is truly unbelievable. I want to say a huge thank you to L3 Harris for hosting us, and a thank you to Senator Cotton and Representative Westerman for being here and for your tireless support of Arkansas's aerospace and defense industry. We're lucky that we have an incredible federal delegation that understands the importance of a facility like this and works so well together, and a delegation that actually likes each other and gets things done. And these are two of the most effective members in all of the U.S. legislature. So thank you to both of them. And of course, I want to give a huge Arkansas welcome to our incredible Secretary of War, my good friend, Pete Hegseth, who's been such a great force leading the department and bringing pride and enthusiasm back to our military. Under his leadership, morale and recruitment are both up, and we have a secretary that is making us strong again. President Trump gave his State of the Union address this week, and he laid out all of the wins that his administration has achieved in just 1 year, ending wars across the world, capturing the evil dictator of Venezuela, and making sure our most dangerous adversaries fear the United States of America. I know there were some people that were upset by the language that he used and some of the strong words. But you know what? I think we'll take a couple of strong words and mean tweets if it means world peace. What a lot of people get wrong is they think that peace comes from being nice. And if it would be great if that were the case. But peace truly comes through strength. And that's something that President Trump and Secretary Hegseth and this administration understand and are tireless in fighting for. When we talk about peace through strength, there is nothing more important than the arsenal of freedom that the Secretary is here to celebrate and the men and women who make that possible. Arkansans build weapons systems like THAAD, Standard missiles, Tactical Tomahawks, and Patriot missile systems. Our state produces more than 115,000 solid rocket motors every year. And demand for those weapons is only growing under President Trump's leadership. Having spent a little time with the president, I can tell you he wants more, he wants faster, and he wants even bigger than we could have ever dreamed. L3 Harris is a huge part of that mission and that success story. Just in the last year, they've hired 500 Arkansans to help meet those goals. That means our state needs to recruit and train the same type of hardworking, skilled, patriotic men and women who make facilities like this run. Men like Richard Pennington, whose dad, growing up, was a delivery driver right here in Camden. At just 10 years old, Richard joined his dad on routes that stopped by this very site. Fast forward to 1982, and Richard started his military career and his first assignment as a platoon leader in the Arkansas National Guard. And that very gear that he was using is manufactured right here in Camden. By 1986, Richard began his career at the L3 Harris Camden site that he used to visit with his dad. Starting as a manufacturing engineer, producing the propulsion system that he used in the Guard. And now, nearly 40 years later, he's still hard at work, keeping America safe. What L3 Harris and men like Richard Pennington are building is something that we want all across our state and our country. Not just great jobs, but great companies, great communities, all fulfilling a great mission. And with the men and women of Arkansas, the support of the Trump administration, and my administration's focus on making sure every young Arkansan is enrolled, enlisted, or employed, and know that we will make this happen. One of the greatest opportunities I had over the course of the 2.5 years that I got to work in the White House was traveling with the president all over the world. And in 2018, I got to take a trip I'll never forget. It was Christmas night, and we had just gotten our kids tucked away when we boarded Air Force One in complete and total darkness. No lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. And 12 hours later, we landed in the war-torn part of Western Iraq. Again, no lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. The president was making a surprise trip to visit our troops in Iraq. And when he touched down and walked into a dining hall that was packed much like this room is here today, the room absolutely erupted. They expected to be greeted by senior military leadership. They had absolutely no idea that the president of the United States was about to step into that room. And when they did, cheers and chants of USA, USA broke out all over. There was a young soldier who yelled from the back of the room. He said, "Mr. President," he said, "I re-enlisted in the military because of you." And the president responded, he said, "Son, I'm here because of you." It was an unbelievable sight and a sound and a scene that I know I will never forget. And as the president made his way around the room, that young soldier walked up to me and he said, "Hey, Sarah," he goes, "you have a tough job." I told him, I said, "I take questions. You take bombs and bullets. What I do is nothing." And he reached up and he pulled the Brave Rifles patch that he wore on his shoulder, and he placed it into my hand. He said words that I will never forget. He said, "We are in this together." That young man represents the very best of our country. And companies like this are supporting him and giving him the resources and defense that they need to do their jobs well. And the reason I know that Arkansas will step up and meet the demand and fulfill the mission is because that young soldier now lives in our state, is a new Arkansas citizen. Just under 10 years later, he works for the Department of Veterans Affairs for the state and is helping us hire veterans and put them to work at facilities just like this one. That is how we continue to be the greatest country on the face of the earth, supporting the men and women who are willing to put on the uniform. And that's what this company and this event represent. And I'm so thankful that we have a secretary and a president who understand that, who will fight for it, and will never stop supporting and making sure this is the greatest country that the world has ever known.